Okay, so today we are going to do something a little bit differently. I had a colleague of mine asking me about the state of reverse engineering in 1995, 1998, and today we have like Ghidra, we have decompilers which can give you pseudo C++ code out of a binary, we have idapro, we have hexrace decompiler. There are so many tools and resources out there. And you can even take the, pseudo C++ code if you're not making sense out of the compiled pseudo code. You can paste that in ChatGPT and even get more context out of it if you want to. A lot of tools available today. So basically she was asking, what was the status of reverse engineering in the year, say, 1998? So I thought, instead of just responding and replying to her, I make this video. She can watch this as well. And in order to do that, I thought it is a great time to bring out one of my old laptops that I really didn't use. I wanted to, but I just didn't get the time to play around with it. So let me introduce you this bad boy. So this is the bag it came in with, and this is the power supply, and this is the laptop itself. So this bad boy right here is the IBM ThinkPad 390, however you read it. And it is the 2626 version. So let's flip it over and it's right here. So hope you're seeing that on the camera. Yeah, there it is. It's heavy, it's heavy. So this bad boy was a baller laptop back then in 1998. Actually, this came out 1999. It does have Windows 98. So this one has the screen size of the whole 12 inches. Yeah, it was back then a baller laptop. So it still is to me. So this is a 12-inch screen and the resolution is whole 124 by 768. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. 400 megahertz Pentium 2 CPU, and it does have whole 256 megabyte of RAM. And there is also a VGA card, which is the Neo Magic Media 256. So also it does have a CD-ROM, very, very important. Actually very important because I copied everything through that. So yeah, there's also floppy disk, and there is the modem right there. And then there is the VGA output, there is serial port, LPT port. Yeah, back then when the HP printer was not a subscription, actually you owned your printer and you owned the inks. Yeah, back then. So you were able to print with an LPT port. This is it. And then there is a PS2 mouse, and there is more here. Yeah, it does open. There is also a full USB 4 40 gig. I'm kidding. It's just the basic USB one. I don't even think it works properly. We're gonna check that. So yeah, I haven't turned it on in a while. I just did it right before the video to make sure it turns on, so I don't talk all about the laptop and then it just doesn't even turn on. So it turns on, but because I don't want fireworks, I am going to try to take out the battery. Actually, it's not made by Samsung, probably not gonna explode, but still. So I'm going to put that aside. We are going to go with the adapter, power adapter, and yeah, everything else looks in order. I also changed the CMOS battery because it was showing error in the beginning. So what we are going to do is I'm going to power this up and we are going to go down the memory lane. I'm going to show you a bunch of tools that we used to have back in 1998, the state of development, programming. I will show a couple of things from Visual Studio 6, and then we'll take a look at a couple tools I used to use, at least personally, to do reverse engineering and not cracking or making patches. No, never cheating in the games. No, it was reverse engineering. So we are going to go through that and I will be right back. Okay, the laptop is hooked up. I connected the power and the HDMI, which is the VGA to HDMI converter, so I can record what's happening on the screen. And I'm going to put one of my microphones near the laptop, so I want you to listen to the beautiful sound of old laptop booting. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. By the way, I did not change the OS. It actually contains a lot of even personal files of the person who owned it before me. So yeah, I left it as is. The operating system, the tools, everything is whatever you see on the screen. I did not install or touch anything. Yeah, this is the adapter VGA to HDMI thing that I plugged in. We don't need to install a driver. Yeah, all right. I see some of you already see some familiar tools I installed. Okay, so what I wanted to do is basically install a Visual Studio 6, install a very old version of IDA, as you have seen on the screen right now. And yeah, oh, by the way, this laptop does have those, you know, they call it laptop nipple or whatever they call it. So yeah, I'm gonna use this mouse for this video, and these are the click. I'm kidding. I'm gonna bring out the fancy mouse when we have guests over. Oh yeah, this is eMachine's fancy mouse. So yeah, I'm gonna use this one because I don't want to use that. That's terrible. So let me connect this. All right, much better. So in order to do that, actually, I am going to install it live so you can watch it. Yeah, this is the Visual Studio 6 original. Hold on, let me fix that. So yeah, now it's original. So I'm going to use this original Visual Studio 6 CD to install Visual Studio 6. And then, oh, we had a CD in there. All right, let's put this on. Close the door. So we are going to install Visual Studio 6 now, and then hopefully we will speed up the footage so you just don't have to wait through the whole thing. But I wanted to take you down the memory lane, remember the installer. So many of you, I believe, have used this in the past. If you wanted to do basically any type of development in 90, 97, 98, 99, you had to have Visual Studio. There was 5 and 6, so I went with the 6 one. And yeah, let's run that installer. Okay, so we go next here, we accept the license, and I'm going to use a very real product key. Yep, and we are going to go with custom. Default location is fine. Yeah, remembering these now. I used to install this on every single computer that I owned first thing after installing the drivers for mouse and keyboard, sound card, graphics card. Everything needed a driver. No plug and play. By the way, I tried the USB. It's shaky, it doesn't work. So yeah, we're gonna stick with the good old PS2. Okay, I'm gonna select everything and remove the Fox Pro. I never used it, I don't know, and I never used these two interdev or source safe. Yeah, I'm just installing as I used to install it back in the day. So yeah. Okay, seems like install is almost done. And while I was waiting for the installer, I looked up the laptop nipple. Actually, it seems like the technically correct and politically correct term for that is pointing stick. So not nipple, pointing stick. So we use our eMachine mouse. It's beautiful, isn't it? I have one eMachine that I repaired. It's working fine. So I just stole this off of it. Okay, that's fine. That's also fine. All right, there you go. Okay, so Visual Studio is installed. Let's eject that. We're done. All right, so another thing I wanted to show you is actually this. And to be honest, I don't think I remember using idapro back in 98, but apparently it runs perfectly in this version, runs perfectly in Windows 98. So I wanted to take you through the install as well. There we go. And here is the what are you missing? Because we are using the free version and it supports more processors, cutting-edge binary analysis relying on advanced algorithms. Okay, what else? Is there anything else? Yeah, it honestly looks a lot like the current IDA, doesn't it? Yeah, I think the latest is 7 or 8 something. Yeah, anyway, and as you can see, let's just try the win graph just for fun. And yeah, it's near identical to what we are using today. And remember, I didn't do the kernel X, I didn't patch anything in Windows. This is original Windows 98 that came with the laptop, and even the device information and everything is untouched. So if we go to, let's say, my documents, yeah, as you saw, there are a lot of personal stuff in there and I didn't touch anything. And if we go to here, or here, the properties, I'm gonna blur out this part, the name, but yeah, this is genuine Intel processor. processor, 256 megabytes of RAM, and looks like all the drivers are installed. Yeah, so this is original everything. I didn't touch it, but as you can see, it's very, very similar. Even back in the 98, you could have used something like this IDA. But let's start with the, actually, why did I save? But yeah, anyway, let's start with the development, right? So I just want to show you a couple of quick things. So when you wanted to develop an application for Windows 98, you had, I mean, there are a lot of other alternatives like Borland, Delphi, and even the Foxpro that I did not install. People used to develop apps in MS Access, but what I used to do a lot was using Visual Basic or Visual C++ 6. I just want to quickly show you both of them. So let's start with Visual Basic, and this is one of the easiest programming languages. Basic is easy programming language, and Visual Basic is actually very easy to develop applications in. So let's say you want to design a login form, right? You just pick and choose the components and then draw basically the components. You don't use like JSON or anything to design or draw these things. So basically you just draw the components in the interface, and then you can say login and cancel, right? They has to be identical in size. So that's it basically. Yeah, so something like that, right? So this one also have maximize buttons, so you can go here, change the size to fixed size so users cannot, you know, open and close it. You can change the window title in the caption in here, login form, something like that. And you can say when user clicked on the cancel end, so to just terminate the app. And if you go to the login, so what you can do is basically say if, you know, text1 text equals something, and I don't know, text2 text equals password, then don't forget the then, and you have to say the endif, and here you can do whatever you want it to do. But that's not what we are here. I want to show you also the components like you could have used by just pressing Ctrl+T. You can choose and insert a lot of components. One of the most common ones back in the day was WinSocket library. So you could have selected this and basically just drag and drop that in here. So we draw one in here. This is basically WinSocket ActiveX component, which uses MS WinSock OCX, which you have to also do regsvr to register it, and this has to exist on every computer if your app is written in Visual Basic. So what you can do is when the form initialized, just saying, you can do WinSocket, basically a local port, right? You can define the local port to 4444, WinSock1 listen, then this will listen and it will listen on the port, the 4444 port. Just you can do it dynamically with arrays, and so you can support as many as WinSockets as possible. But super stupid simple one would be just saying when the WinSock1, oh, by the way, these are the components and these are the events that can be triggered. So when the WinSock is listening and there is a connect request, this is an event, and you click on it, and then you can say WinSock2 close if it is open, WinSock2 accept, and this is the request ID already getting passed to it through the argument in the function call. Now WinSock2 will accept the connection, and now in the WinSock2 you can say, I guess, I don't know, we can put another button, and when it's clicked you can send something through the socket, and sending is very easy. You just do WinSock2 send data, that's it really. Yeah, and then when you're reading the data, so we can go to WinSock2 and data arrival. This is an event triggered when there's new data coming. You can just get something like data as string, and what you can do is you can say WinSock2 get data, right, and data. Yeah, that easy. So you can read the data, but obviously if you send binary data, then you have to use byte array. We're not gonna get there. Simple data transfer. This is how it used to be. You draw the forms, you draw the application, you write the code, you run it, and it crashes. So that was the Visual Basic. So let's try the Visual C++. Let's go to Visual C++. This is much better actually. C++ is much better. So the Visual C++ was my favorite. You could have developed a lot of different applications, DLLs, everything, and then MFC was big back then. You can develop an application in MFC which is very similar to what I just did in Visual Basic in terms of drawing a dialogue, right? Creating, let's say, just very same dialogue if you wanted to do it. So let's try that. Let's actually try that. Let's test this out. So let's say, actually, let me set this folder because this is going to happen a lot. So let's go to, let me create a folder maybe in here, new folder called projects. Okay, all right. And the project name would be NFC test 1, right? And let's go with that. So these are, honestly, I did not use it, but it gives you an option to very quickly create a toolbar and title and everything. It's document based. You can spawn new documents inside the application. I might have used actually in a couple of apps, but yeah, I used to just go with the dialogue based. So in here, you can choose to default create an about dialogue, and there is 3D controls. So it shows you what it means. And then there is a WinSocket. So we are going to enable that, and standard and shared, and yeah, everything looks fine in here as is. And let's create. So that's it. Very similar to Visual Basic. You get this dialog, so we can delete that, and very same thing, right? So this time I have actually a purpose because I want to show you the reverse engineering side. So let's try that. So what we can do here is basically here you can define the settings and change the options on how this looks. What we are going to do is we are going to say license key, right? And draw basically a text box. Let's do it like this, like you're pasting the license key, right? And then we're going to go here, and in here you can say multi-line, so user can paste a whole license in there, and that's okay. And then we are going to add another button in here and say check license, right? Something like that. We are going to say check license, okay? And do it this way. Okay, and we are going to move this okay and close over here, okay, and cancel over here. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to make this dialog smaller. That's why I'm doing that. So yeah, something like that. Yeah, a little bit to the right, to the left, sorry. Yeah, this is it. Just an example. So what you have to do is basically go to the class wizard and the member variables and just add a variable for the edit, right? So we are going to call it license and license key, something like that, right? And it's going to be C string. It's going to be a text, right? And yeah, we are going to save that, and you can check license one. You can say double click on it. It will generate a function just like Visual Basic. It will generate a function for you to write your code in it, right? So first thing you have to do is remove the comment, and second thing is basically update data. By the way, does that work? Yeah, update data. Yeah, it works. So update data, and this basically reads data, sets the variables with the contents and everything, which we defined, right? So what we are going to do is say if, so what do we define? If m license, yeah, if m license key is empty, right? Say message box, please enter the license key content in the text box, right? Something like that. And no license, and the type should be, let's go with default, MBOK, right? And then return, because you didn't even enter a license key. Next, what we are going to do is we're going to add a check, right? If m underline license key equals to, I'm just saying, ABC test 1, 2, 3, just something like that. Then we can say message box, thank you for activating your copy, whatever, right? And then just say valid license and MB okay. And if it is not, we say message box and say invalid license. Please check your key, right? Invalid license now. And right, so just an example. And if we save this and execute it, it's going to build it and execute it. Well, that's taking some time. Okay, build, rebuild all. Oh, we have errors. What is it? Okay, did I forget something at the end? Yeah, I did. All right, so let's rebuild. Okay, I forgot the, okay, so that's the problem. That would do it. All right, so if we execute this now, you're going to see this, right? If we enter it with nothing, please enter license key. If we enter something, it's going to say invalid key. If we see ABC test 1, 2, 3, what did we say? ABC, oh, E is capital. Okay, I'm gonna change that, but there you go. So it's case sensitive as well. So we can make it insensitive, but it doesn't matter now. Right now, I just wanted to show you how it is, right? To develop an application, dialog, C++, all that, right? So what we are going to do now is set the configuration to the release, and we are going to go to the project settings, and shared is fine. And then we are going to say minimize the size, and yeah, just for fun, rebuild, and we're done, right? We're done. This is just an example, right? So if we go back to the MFC test and release folder, you're going to see the applications here. It's 20 kilobytes, shared library, MFC is shared. So if we now want to check a couple of reverse engineering tools that I used to use, I am going to open up my tools folder. So we can start with the Ollie, right? This is the reverse engineering tool. This was still, I've seen a lot of people still using it, but this can be used very well. It still can be used. So if we open up the application in the Ollie, we are going to see that the application loads and you see the decompiled code, and if we run it, it's going to be executed and the application will start, right? So the same thing, if we enter some invalid license, it's going to say this. So everybody, what you used to do is you just go to the analysis, so to the search for, and all the reference text strings, you can see valid, invalid, all that is stuff in here. If you double click on it and open it up, you are going to see this very clearly. Here is a valid flow, here's the invalid, jump is here. You put a F2, a breakpoint, run the app, and then go back, do the check license, comes over here, jump is taken. You see if you follow the jump, it's going to take to the invalid. What you can do is just basically just patch this and just change that to JZ or knob it out so it goes to this flow, doesn't matter, and then let it run. And if you go back to the application, it's going to say, thank you for activating your copy. That easy, right? But another thing I wanted to show you was how you could do a lot of applications back then. Like malware used to use these packers, right? One of the common ones that at least I used to see a lot was ASPAC, right? This application was very, very common back then, and people were using it all the time to just pack their application malware. I don't think I remember seeing it to be used with, you know, clean apps. Okay, that doesn't work. So what we can do is we can do this. So, but yeah, a lot of applications also were doing this to protect their apps, but there was another product called AsProtect that was more common for that. But yeah, both can be used. So we compressed and not obfuscated, we compressed the application, and yeah, so this is the original one. It didn't really change in the size, but if we open it up again in the Ollie, you are going to see that the application is packed now. We're going to get a warning that this is packed, and there you go. So this has an entry point outside the code section in the P header. So it obviously says self-extracting, self-modifying application. You know, that's correct and clear. So it was back in the day, one of the things that I used to do a lot was just the unpacking, do unpacking and dumping the unpacked. And if we try to do the search for in here for the reference strings, obviously we are not going to see it, right? So you cannot really easily patch and crack or patch or fix this application. So what you can do is just unpack it. It wasn't really complicated for the aspect. So you could have pressed F7 in here just to follow. This is the routine that it starts, right? It starts to unpack the application. One of the tricks to do very easily do the unpacking of the aspect packed application was just go here and search for a sequence of commands. What you can do is you can say move EAX1 in hexadecimal and return C, right? You search for this. This was like a pattern in the aspect. The next one always is a push 0 and return. So if you put a breakpoint in here, it's going to tell you you're putting it outside the code section, but that's fine. We're going to put it in here and let the app run. Let it unpack itself. So let it run. And as you can see, this is now actually the real original entry point for our application. So if we follow this, as you can see, if I press Control A, now our app is unpacked. So if I do the search for reference strings, everything is back. Now you can see the license and text, and I can patch it again, the same routine. But we want to save this now. If we unpack this, we want to save the state of modification where we change the jump, right? So what you can do is you can dump the debugged process, and where we are is actually the EIP is pointing to the original entry point. So it's correct. We are at the correct location. We dump this and we say dump 1, right? So if I go back to that folder, to release folder, to dump 1, if I try to run it, okay, this one ran. But if it didn't run, you had to do what is called the import address table repair and fix, right? So for that, that, there was also a tool that was back then used a lot, import here, reconstruction. So you could have run this and you can attach the application to that you're trying to fix, and then you enter the original entry point, right? So in this case, OEP, now it's going to be 1676, right? If I do an IoT search, it's going to say I found the IoT is correct, and then we can do get imports, and you should have had yes, 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 valid, 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 valid. And then after that, you could have fixed the dump and select the dump file and basically repair it. If it was broken up, that won't work out of box, after dump, because the only dump also used to try to repair. When you do this, you can see that right there. Yeah, there is also rebuilding import address table feature in here. So this was the state, right? So a lot of similarities to today, and you still have the Ollie, you still have the IDA. Reverse engineering back then was not really that different. Still, the tools are available. There was no Ghidra, obviously, but many other tools were still available. I can even take you further back, so we can go with this one. I don't know if you have seen this one, but yeah, this is IDA for DOS. So you can technically, let's do this one. You can run IDA in DOS, MS-DOS. So this is running in MS-DOS mode inside Windows 98, but this one works out of box in DOS as well. So I just wanted to show you this as well. This is a possibility. There were very similar menus as well. Navigation jump, very, very similar to the UI version, and obviously lacks a lot of features, but you can see that it used to have a lot of features even back then. So even at DOS level, you could have done reverse engineering and patching opcodes and everything, right? So that was, packing is even the same thing. Yeah, packing and saving database. So another thing that I wanted to show you is how it was for like packing scene. So one of the very common, very famous things that back in the day people used to use, I used to use it for trolling. So what you could have used was the back orifice, right? This is the GUI version of that, the infamous back orifice. Yeah, this is the application, the CDC called dead cow, cult of dead cow. So this is the app, the admin side of the app, and you could have basically sent this servers to the victim, right? You could have executed this in a network in some other computer. You run this on the victim's computer, and as you can see, it hid itself. It disappeared, it's gone. You just executed once. You could have made it an auto run inside and made a CD, plug the CD into the victim's computer. Autorun.inf was going to execute that back orifice server, and then you could have taken out the CD. There is no sign, as you can see, there's no sign that anything happened here. And then later go back and try to control that host remotely from this UI, right? So what I can do is you can do a ping, and you can see it came back and ping pong is working. What you can do is a lot of things you can do. You can do a process list, for instance. These are the processes that running in that your victim's computer. And what you can do is, let's say, registry, create key, delete key, all that, list keys, and you can show a dialog box for trolling, show system info, your computer is this, your computer is that. You can, set these things, and you set the text, you set the title. So test, text, message, and the title would be the title, so you can see the difference. And then we send this. As you can see, user, remember, you're like on two separate computers. This one computer, that's another computer. This is victim, this is you, on different machine. You could have done this trolling remotely. There are more, actually. There's some dangerous stuff as well here. So for instance, you can try the keylogging feature. If I find it, there used to be, so if we do keylog begin, right? So we send the command begin, and then here you have to say, so C Windows, we can say C Windows keylog.tmp, something like that, right? We send the command and it starts logging the keys. And then if I go to Office document and open up a blank document here, so if I say, for instance, testing the keylogger, test 1 2 3, testing the keylogger. So let's say this is a victim's machine and they are writing the report, right? Writing stuff. And if I go back here and say end the keylogging, right? So keylogging is ended, and then what we can do is now you can go read the text file directly, but what I'm going to do is just going to do it with this. So we can say file view and the same file, and I send the command. As you can see, it says it's in the Word document, and these are the keys that I pressed. Yeah, the UI is not really that intuitive, but you get the idea. It contains the stuff in there. There's no scroll that way. So, but what we can do is we can open this up, right? Oh, sorry. We can open this up, and let's try the mighty notepad. Yeah, and Control O. Okay, that doesn't work. There you go. Right? Testing key logger, right? Everything. So this was the keylogger working back then. So this was one of the very common tools that people used to use for hacking. It does a lot of stuff. Everything is working. It does a lot of stuff. And this was very common back then. Sub7 was another one. I don't know if I have it in here. I have it somewhere, but yeah, there is also that one. Another thing was the Process Explorer. This is internals. Yeah, there you go. So you can see it lacks a lot of features, obviously, because it's very old, but you get the idea. This is the application Process Explorer. You can see a list of processes, very small, as you can see. Not many processes are running, and this is the malware one, so we can kill that. And yeah, these are all original stuff that was running on this machine. Yeah, this is the Process Explorer. And by the way, I just wanted to see how many features are there. Yeah, debug is there, kill process is there, properties, not much. Okay, and there's also strings feature. Very nice, very nice. So this all used to work back then as well. Yeah, these are the things that I want to show you, and I wanted to take you down the memory lane. It's Visual Basic, Visual C++, idapro, idados, ollydbg, and yeah, Historichacking was another one. You know, script kiddies used to alter UI and icon of the app and change it, and you know, and make like something that they have built or written or created, something like that had kids, right? So there's a lot of other stuff. Yeah, so this is the Netbus, right? So in the Netbus, this was like a professional application of some sort. It doesn't even license you could have purchased, which actually requires a license. Now it's going to be a trial version. You can install the client and the server and the additional components, which I'm not sure I know what that stands for, but you could have installed these. And yeah, let's install it as is. There you go. As you can see, it requires a license. So it's going to let us run it, but it requires a license. So there was obviously a cracked version of it. People used to have installed this. You can again move the agent to the target's computer, and this is the server. This is how you execute it. And let's see, accept connections. This is the port, right? Let's memorize that or just copy it. And if we go back to the admin side, we can make sure that the port is on the correct one. I think it is correct. I'm not touching it. So let's double click. There you go. I'm connected, and you see that you could have hide this obviously completely, make it system tray icon or anything, and now we are connected, and I can do system info, get the information. I'm going to hide this person's name. This is a real person, and yeah, so this is the information about the computer. You could have done again messaging, file manager. There we go. You could have you know, stole the files from the computer, uploaded files to that computer, to victim's computer. Window manager, you could have seen the open windows in the victim's computer, and registry editor, sound management plugin, or port redirection. Yeah, that's a good one for, let's say, you know, it's more for more sophisticated attacks, but when a computer can see certain networks but you cannot directly, you can do that with the port redirection, and then file actions and so on. Cool functions. Yeah, CD-ROM you can open and close just to be annoying, you know. Let's try that. There we go. We opened the CD-ROM tray of the victim's computer. So obviously the close will not work on the CD-ROMs like this, like for laptops, but it works for, you know, the full-size CD-ROM for more like workstation computers. Keyboard, you can disable certain keys. You can disable key clicks and put them back. Swap the mouse buttons, so right click will be right, left click, and vice versa. Open a URL, send a text, all that cool stuff that people used to do. And you can even shut down the computer and reboot it and everything. So yeah, a lot of features. This was one of the things that people used to use. I only saw this being used by troll controls, but yeah, there obviously had a lot of real use cases as well. This is a Pro, don't forget about that. You need to buy this. So I just wanted to take you down the memory lane and just show you, remind you. I'm sure a lot of you already are familiar with many of the things that I just showed you here. I miss those days. You know, it's very easy to develop MFC UI and then create a C++ application. Used to run on every single machine, honestly. Visual Basic, you require Visual Basic runtime, which was not really that big, but I think it was around 1.2 megabytes or something like that. But you had to carry that ActiveX files, OCX files, DLL files, and you had to regsvr30 to those OCX files, otherwise it wouldn't work. Not just copying or having it in the same folder does not work. But C++ on the other hand did not have that problem. It directly worked with the Windows API and WinSocket. You could have basically just directly call the API or WinSocket the API and create the application. Delphi, I was not really much into it. That was also kind of very good programming language in the IDE. So the binary files produced by Delphi was much bigger, but that also was kind of like a standalone application. You did not need to carry a lot of files next to the exe. From what I remember, Sub7 was written in the Borland Delphi. Yeah, I believe so. But I know back Orifice is C++. I think the source code is out there already. The other thing is the Sub7. Let me show you Sub7 very quickly if we have time. I don't want to make this video very long. So if we go here, Sub7. Yeah, this is something I got from GitHub. It might not be very the original one, but it's the identical, right? So this is the client side, that the same features, trolling or whatever features you can use in here. And this was the server editor. A server is the Trojan side, right? The thing that you install in your victim's computer. And this is the editor for that server. So you choose the server, which is this one, and read the current settings. So this is what someone wrote in there. You can change these. You can change the listening port, make it password protected, so not everyone with a Sub7 client can connect to your victim and do whatever they want, and so on. So you generate this, and I like this part. Yeah, you could have changed the icon, so you can go with the Winamp cool icon for your application and make changes and save it, and then you could have transferred this to the victim's machine, and then they would execute it, and you connect it with Sub7, and you control their computer. So yeah, I believe we covered a lot of things in here, from reverse engineering to hacking to going through this beautiful laptop and even some Packer stuff. I didn't get time to go through Microsoft Assembler stuff, but yeah, that should do it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like more videos like this, let me know. If you want me to run different types of reverse engineering or hacking tools, or if you want me to start developing something. I had also that idea. I wanted to open up the Visual Studio C++ and try to write a Trojan of some sort, small, that can do some of these things that Sub7 or the Netbus can do, and show you how things are done. Let me know down in the comment section and we will do that. Another thing that I totally forgot to show you is the cheat engine. So I found this version 5.11. This also works in Windows 98. Yeah, as you might expect. You can do a lot of things with this. So just so you know, I don't want to make the video longer, but if we want to run this, where's our test project? Yeah, here. If we run the application, go back here, connect to it. So yeah, we can attach that process and maybe search for the text. I think we said invalid license, something like that. Let's see if it finds it. Wow, it's slow. I'm not used to it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it finds it. So this also works, and you can do a lot of stuff with this. This is actually a lot more simple for making, changing stuff in the games. But as you can see, it does have, its own disassembler and everything. But remember, this is just the strings table. You have to find the code that actually uses this and then go in and patch it. Long story short, you can make changes in the games, like change your score, change how many lives you have left, and stuff like that in here with the cheat engine. That works out of box. I just installed it and it works. So again, thanks for watching, and let me know what you want to see more. We can even try to use cheat engine to hack some games, change our score and stuff like that. Let me know what you want to see and I will do it. Thank you, and I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.